Part 1 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, a detailed explanation of the Student Lifecycle Framework. Part 2 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, exploring the practical implications of a student lifecycle approach. Part 3 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, exploring the implications of the process of identity evolution. Part 4 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, exploring the 5 senses of success at university. Part 5 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, drilling down into an example of the evolving aspects of student identity development. Part 6 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, understanding the notion of student maturity and how we can support that. Part 7 of the Student Lifecycle Framework, mapping the evolving identity of students over the life cycle and the evolving nature of student success. So finally, let's put two big ideas together, the student life cycle on the one hand and the 5 senses of student success on the other. And let's try and understand how these two ideas work over the student life cycle in terms of the choices the students make and the identity claims they make as well. So we talk about the transition towards as being the front end of the life cycle, and this is where we ask students to step forward into the experience of being a university student. And really, so the stage is transition towards, and the role or the identity claim is me being a future student. So the transition phase is about stepping forward, and the role is about aspiring. So how do the 5 senses map at this transition towards phase? Well, sense of connection becomes sense of inclusion. Because in the early phase, how will I fit in is the big question here, not where will I belong, will I even fit in? And capability is really expressed as a sense of belief. What am I able to do? Am I really up to this? Is how that capability is expressed in an aspiring student. And really at the end of the day, purpose is really still a very unformed state of aspiration. What do I really want to do? It's still a bit fuzzy around the edges. And resourcefulness, really that speaks to, a more general notion of, can I even pull this off? What will this take for me to succeed? And so these are the kind of bigger questions at the transition towards stage that help students develop a sense of themselves as potential students. And the claim there is about potential student identity. So assuming students have made a successful transition towards and they've made a commitment and a choice to be in university, they're in the transition in phase, that's stepping into the university experience. And they're working for early success as a commencing student, as a newbie on the block. How do the senses of success express themselves here? Well, the labels become familiar. So sense of connection is, who do I know here and how do I get more connected? Capability becomes, what capabilities and what skills do I have and what do I need to develop? Purpose is, as we've understood it, what are my future pathways, both in terms of a student, but also where will this take me? And resourcefulness is what do I need to do to navigate this experience? And these are the questions that a commencing student needs to ask themselves, and in fact do ask themselves, and we help them answer. Answering these questions and giving students the experiences that help them answer them for themselves helps them build a sense of positive student identity. So they've transitioned towards, they've transitioned in, and now they're fully fledged students and they're stepping ahead in the student role, transitioning through, if you like, as continuing students and building on what they've done before to become successful and indeed more mature as students. So how we then take that and build on that takes them towards a transition to out phase, which is this whole notion of being successful as a student. Now, where does this take me? How do I step out and beyond the student role as a final year student? How do I bring all this together, integrate this, and focus on my future success? And so the questions from the sense of success model become slightly more nuanced. Sense of connection is my connections with a broader community beyond just my student cohort. Who are my future colleagues, and who do I need to connect with and network with? Mastery becomes very much a sense of what can I claim that I can competently and safely deliver. This is very much an important sense of what I have to offer the broader professional community. employability then becomes, it was always been important throughout the student lifestyle, becomes very, very salient at this point. And a purpose becomes a sense of, what are my realistic opportunities here? At the end of the day, what can I actually claim and go for, given the degree that I've got? And then finally, resourcefulness is really now at this point of, well, by this stage I should have developed my capacity to be self-managing, and I should be claiming independence of thought and action as a mature student ready to step out. This is about graduate identity. And of course, you know, in a dialogue, in a discourse of lifelong learning, one doesn't just stop learning as a student. One builds a sense of what one, as a learner, throughout one's professional life. And so the transition up stage is really about stepping up to a higher mark, stepping up to a higher mark about what one might aspire to contribute and what one might aspire to deliver in terms of services and contributions. And so in terms of one's self, citizenship and leadership become more salient. You know, where and for what do I stand? Mastery becomes not just basic mastery, but expertise. What is my expertise? What claims can I make about what my special skills are? You know, you know, purpose becomes contribution. Very much about not just what can I focus on, but what difference do I want to make, and what difference am I able to make? And finally, at the end of the day, it's resilience that binds all this together. As a citizen, as an expert, as a contributor, how do I manage change and challenge to build my sense as a positive professional? And this is the claim from graduate identity to professional identity. And it's once again, you can see the maturation from mature student to mature graduate and now to mature professional. Very much a case then of being able to not only step up, but step forward and take people with you and even come back and decide when you need further development. And this is about partnering with others and yourself for success. So fundamentally, we can be successful at any stage of learning at the student life cycle or the professional life cycle. The question is really helping ourselves to become sensitive to what are the markers of success at different stages, and to work with our students and our partners, if you like, in that deeper sense of not only helping them recognise how they've matured, but providing them with opportunities to go even further. Truly partnership.